All right, let's talk grammar, but forget everything you think you know about boring rules. Today, we're going to break down the absolute fundamentals, phrases, clauses, and sentences, the building blocks of everything you write. Think of it this way. You can't build something amazing without knowing your tools, right? So let's dive in.
Okay, to really get a handle on this, we're going to ditch the dusty old rulebooks. Seriously. Instead, I want you to think like an architect. We're going to use a really simple, powerful analogy, a blueprint, if you will, that's going to make all of this just click.
So let me ask you something. What in the world does a massive skyscraper have in common with a really great sentence, one that just hits you?
Well, the answer is actually pretty simple, but it's so powerful. They both start with the right building blocks. For a building, that's your bricks, your steel beams. For our writing, it's all about phrases, clauses, and sentences. Same idea, different materials.
So let's start with the absolute basics, our bricks. In grammar, we call these phrases. And you gotta get this, they are the super versatile fundamental units we're going to build everything else on top of.
Okay, so what is a phrase really? Well, it's just a group of words that hang out together. But, and this is the important part, it's missing a key combo. A subject and a verb. That means it can't stand on its own as a full sentence. It's like a single Lego brick, It's useful, but it needs to connect to something else to be part of a bigger structure.
Now, just like bricks can come in different shapes and for different purposes, so do phrases. First up, we've got the noun bricks. These guys act like the foundation. They might be a bunch of words, but the whole group acts like a single noun. Think about it. Phrases like the guy with the green cup, or reading the Quran, or even to work hard. See how each of those clumps of words could be the subject or object of a sentence? That's what a noun phrase does. All right, next up we have our decorative bricks. These are the ones that make the building look good. These phrases act just like adjectives. They add detail and description. So you'll see things like full of milk, describing a glass, or carrying his backpack, describing a student. They're all about adding that extra flavor and texture to our writing.
And last but not least, we've got our placement bricks. These phrases act like adverbs. Their whole job is to tell you where, when, how, or why something is happening. So a phrase like right here under the bridge, it's not just a place, it's telling you where the action is. It's all about modifying that verb and putting everything in the right spot.
So, let's pull this all together. Think of this chart as your quick reference blueprint. It really shows how versatile these little bricks can be. Some have just one job, right? A gerund phrase is always going to be a noun. But check this out. Prepositional and infinitive phrases? Whoa. They're like the Swiss Army knives in your toolkit. They can be a noun, an adjective, or an adverb, all depending on how you use them in the sentence. Super useful to know.
Okay, so we've got our bricks down, we've got our phrases. Now it's time to start actually building something with them. We're moving from individual bricks to whole structured rooms. And in the world of grammar, these rooms are called clauses. And here is the absolute key difference. This is a big deal. Unlike a phrase, a clause has to have both the subject and a verb. It's a major upgrade in our building project. You've now got an actor, the subject, and an action, the verb. It's a complete little unit of thought.
Now, this is crucial. We can build two kinds of rooms. You've got your independent clauses. Think of these as a solid standalone room, a studio apartment maybe. It expresses a complete thought all by itself. But then you have dependent clauses. These are more like a porch or an add-on room. They can't stand on their own. They usually start with words like although, if, or because, and they need to be attached to an independent clause to make any sense.
Okay, here we go. We have our bricks, our phrases. We have our rooms, our clauses. Now it's time for the grand finale. We're going to put it all together and build the whole house, a complete, rock-solid sentence. And you know what? There is a super simple, 3-step blueprint for figuring out any sentence type you come across. It's like a little cheat code. Step 1, find your verbs, because that tells you how many clauses you have. Step 2, spot the connectors, the little words that join things together. And step 3, just count them up. How many independent rooms and how many dependent add-ons. That's literally it. Let's see how it works.
First up, the most basic model, the simple sentence. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's one independent clause, one room. That's it. Joe waited for the train. You've got your subject, Joe. You've got your verb, waited. Boom, complete thought. These are awesome for when you want to be direct and clear.
Okay, let's upgrade to a compound sentence. Now you're looking at a house with 2 strong independent rooms. Both can stand on their own, and they're connected by a little hallway, a conjunction like and, but, or so. Take, I drove to Louisiana, and I went to New York. Each part is a complete thought, and they're joined together. This is perfect when you have two ideas that are equally important.
Now things start to get a little more, well, complex. With a complex sentence, you've got one main, independent room, but you've also attached at least one of those dependent porches to it. Look at this. Although he is wealthy. See? That can't be a sentence on its own. It's just hanging there. It needs that main room. He is still unhappy to make sense. This structure is fantastic for showing how a supporting idea relates to a main one.
And finally, we arrive at the mansion, the big one, the compound complex sentence. This is the whole shebang. It's got everything. You need at least two independent rooms, connected by something like so, plus at least one of those dependent add-ons, like the part here that starts with because. This is the most sophisticated house on the block, and it lets you weave together multiple, layered ideas into one single, powerful sentence.
Phew. Okay, so we've seen how it all works, right? From the individual bricks, to the rooms, to the finished houses. So let's do a quick recap of the awesome new tools you have in your Builder's Toolkit. So here it is, the whole blueprint in a nutshell. Phrases, they're your versatile bricks. Clauses, those are the structured rooms you build with them. Sentences, they're the finished houses. Everything from a cozy cottage to a sprawling mansion. And the conjunctions, don't forget them. They're the critical mortar and the hallways that hold the whole thing together.
And look, this isn't just some boring grammar exercise. Why does this matter? Because getting this stuff down is what separates okay writing from great writing. It's what lets you build sentences that aren't just correct, but that are truly clear, powerful, and, sophisticated.
So there you have it. We've gone over the entire architectural plan, from the tiniest brick to the most complex design. The blueprints are officially in your hands now. So the only real question is, what are you going to build with them?